All's Well Lifestyle is all about feeling good and being empowered. And I'm your girl, Teemaree, making transformation easy with products, practices, and coaching. So listen, anything that we talk about anytime, you can always hit me up at teemaree.com and you can send me a message. You could see the other ways that I help people make transformation. Today, we are talking about doing the opposite. Let's get into it. Look, you have to identify what you need to do the opposite on. Some of us are feeling struggle in our lives right now, and it could all go away if we just start doing the opposite. What do I mean by this? Well, I mean that when we are doing something, it starts off always with a good intention. None of us are wanting to do something that's going to hurt us, harm us, or be a problem later on. It always is a good idea to begin with. Somewhere along the way, that action needs to be tweaked. It needs to be reformed in some way. It needs to be transformed into something else. I'll give you an example. So I love to work out, or rather, I like being a person that works out regularly, because we're honest here on the All's Well Lifestyle show. And so this is something I've made a lifestyle. I have not been feeling well. So I kept on working out, not feeling better, feeling worse. I keep on working out. What happens? I need to do the opposite, because even though working out is a great idea, being healthy is a great idea, getting physical activity is a great idea, but I identified with some time that in this case, putting my body through extra trauma, expending extra energy is not a good idea right now. Now, you might be saying, Teemaree, that is the most obvious point ever. No, it isn't. Because I can tell you something. I can basically bet money that every person under the sound of my voice right now is experiencing stress, strain, discomfort in a relationship, in a personal experience, because we don't do this. We do not think to do this, especially with stuff that is a good idea. It's crazy. It is crazy because we'll say, no, but that's a good thing I'm doing. And yes, it probably is. But guess what? If we don't revisit what we're doing, then we're going to have a problem, because we are living, evolving beings, and all kinds of things are always happening. So my idea of working out every day or working out 5 times a week is a good one. But when circumstances happen that show me that my body needs extra rest, that I probably don't need to put myself mentally and physically under this extra stress because I'm trying too hard to stay on the workout train when my body needs the opposite of that right now, then I get to break free from extra stress, discord, disharmony, being unbalanced, etc. So that's what we're talking about here today. We're identifying why, reasons, how, ways we can do the opposite so we can feel the best we can, be empowered all the time, and feel as good as we can feel. Hey, we can be uplifted. We can be empowered. We can feel good. Today, we're talking about doing the opposite to get those results, which sometimes may sound very, very strange. And I'm telling you right now, all honesty, it will feel strange. It will feel strange, but it's a power move, which is everything that we're about right here. Okay. We are about power moves. Today, we're talking about doing the opposite. So what does that mean? Why does it work? What are we talking about? Look, we got to identify areas in our life that maybe feel stagnant, that maybe feel like we could be getting more out of it, but we're not. And we say, well, why? I'm doing the hard work. I keep on showing up every day. What could the change up be? And sometimes we need to do the opposite. I'm going to give you a few other opportunities to see this in action. So my husband and I have been married for 20 years now. There was a time in our relationship, a few times, which we could do a whole show on that, but we had some growing pains in our marriage. And there was one time in particular that was a super, super healing time because my husband did the opposite. We had gotten into a major argument. It was a series of arguments, and we've always each fought for our marriage at the right time. But this was a time where he pulled back. It was the only time he'd ever really fully done this. And it was a full opposite move. It led to us being separated for 2 weeks. But that time was incredible, because when we were separated and we had stopped doing the regular dance in our arguments, in our trying to figure it out, in our just grasping, even though it was always meant out of love, it allowed for the reset to occur. It allowed for me to naturally, and him to naturally come to some insights that we just couldn't get to when we were both in our regular actions of trying to work it out, trying to talk it out, trying to fight for it. We laid it down, surrendered in a way, did the absolute opposite. We separated. And we really got to think about and honestly decide that we wanted to be together. That might seem like a really big example, but how many of us are in relationships with family members, with our children, with especially if you have adolescent children, with our significant others, with our coworkers, and we're stuck and we're doing the same thing over and over? Listen, please do not lose your wonderful characteristics. He wasn't mean to me. It wasn't terrible, but he just pulled back. And when he did that, and I was left to really think about what I wanted, what I needed, what I loved about him, then it didn't feel like what it always felt like before. I was coming to my own realization, and I was able to choose that I love this man. I want to be with him. And I was being silly, and we were both being silly, and let's just work it out. And sometimes that's what we need. Earlier in the first segment, I talked about doing this for ourselves. I love to work out, or I love to be a person that works out. And so I work out 3 to 5 times a week. But yes, that's a healthy habit. But if you're fighting a cold, or if you've strained yourself, or if you just taken on a new job, or something's going on with your family, then maybe working out. And look, every one of us is different. I'm just providing what I've experienced so you can identify in you. Is the opposite move a pullback? Not stopping working out, but maybe doing lighter workouts or shorter. We can find these answers when we allow ourselves to open up to the opposite energy. So we talked a little bit about that in terms of like health and fitness and in relationship, right? And we just have to be loving and encouraging with ourselves at that time. We just have to remember that, look, we are all amazing beings. We're here for a purpose, for a reason. Those big dreams and goals that we have are seriously needed. They wouldn't be given to us if they were not. However, when we're making those good choices and we're on these wonderful paths, everything in the universe is in constant growth and evolvement, and we need to be too. So we need to be able to assess what we're doing. And when we find a place that's stagnant, when we find a place where our energy is low and we're just doing the motions, then we need to come up and say, okay, what opposite energy could I bring? Instead of fighting, could I be loving or accepting? Instead of just trudging through and trying to soldier on, could I just be caring and kind? And how would I treat the little me? Bring opposite energy to the mix and find our power. This is exactly what we're talking about right here and right now, and it is the best thing ever. So like right now, I keep getting inadvertently blessed by technical issues. I will not be stopped. This is not going to go down this way. Look, sometimes things happen and we need to just roll with it. Case in point, I have some amazing musics picked out to uplift us. If it's not going to play, what's the opposite energy I can bring? Well, I can tell you that when we identify an issue and we bring something new to the mix, then we win. That's just the way it goes. Sometimes we're going to feel like irritated, upset, annoyed, and we just want to give up. We just want to stop. We just want to quit. We don't understand what's happening. Bring the opposite energy. Sometimes all we can manifest is a breath. Throw in an eye roll even. It's all good, but still show up. This is the power that we can bring. It's opposite energy. Sometimes we're going to feel like we're too tired, too stressed, but we don't feel like we can take a rest. And so we're going to keep on going. And a lot of times, the reason why we keep on going is because what we're going towards, we believe in. What we're going towards is important to us. Don't lay that down, but just bring in some opposite energy to help fortify you. Case in point, maybe you feel like you can't take 5 minutes to just breathe and do a quick meditation or a quick prayer. Guess what? I promise you, if you do it, you will somehow have your time stretched, and what you need will come over you. It's opposite energy. So how can we continue to identify? A quick way to identify where you can apply opposite energy is there something in your life right now that feels like you're just kind of really working very, very hard to keep it going? Or you're trying to rally yourself often to maybe talk to a person or show up for something? Is there something going on that's feeling that way? If so, that's a place you can practice some opposite energy to bring some new life, to bring a new answer, to bring some new energy. How can we do this? Okay. Well, we can do this by literally doing the opposite to the opposite action. So, grumbly coworker, and you keep on trying to reach out. It feels crazy. It's not working out. What can we do? Well, please understand this is always meant to be in love, but opposite energy. When we're trying to force something, usually it's too much. So maybe instead of just aggressively going after it, a gentle hi, move on. Some space, move on. You're trying really hard to achieve something. You're burning the candle at both ends. You do not feel like you can rest. I promise you, a rest day, hour, minute, nap, bath is something that tells yourself that you're doing good, that you are worth the time, that I love you, I'm proud of you, that energy, that will give you the boost, the clarity, the new idea, the sense of calm. It's a game changer. It's a literal game changer. And it's a way that we can help ourselves to really not only feel good and be empowered, but go the distance and get a better experience meanwhile and quicker results, if that makes sense. I'm seeing here some comments coming into the studio that you've hit a wall or a plateau. That's a perfect place to look to practice some opposite energy. If things are kind of sedentary in terms of results, that isn't always a bad thing. But what can you switch up? Opposite energy really, really brings it home. So we're going to talk a little bit about our PowerPoints. Woohoo! So look, identify what needs a switch up. Identify that. How do we do it? We sense a plateau, we sense a dip in our energy, or we sense like we're really working hard to do some sort of task or maintain a relationship, or even maintain kind of showing up for something that originally was a very energetic, life fulfilling idea. That is a place where we can use some opposite energy. Now, here's a bonus tip. The more honest we can be with ourselves, the better. The more honest we can be with ourselves, the better. What does that mean? And listen, I am preaching to myself. Last week, I felt terrible. I was going through a few things. I did not listen right away because I wasn't completely honest with myself. Sometimes it's not on purpose. It's because we really are confused. We're confused with what's wrong. So I'm like, oh, am I just working out too hard? Oh, maybe I didn't sleep well last night, even though it's happening day by day. Or, oh, this will go away soon. I don't really have to. No. The shortcut is the more honest we can be with ourselves, the better. So here's an example. I'm not feeling good. I haven't been feeling good. What can I change right now to nurture myself because I'm not feeling good? Sometimes we cannot lay down all of our commitments. I understand that that's unrealistic, but can we give ourselves an extra supplemental boost? Can we take a nap or go to sleep a little bit earlier? Can we stop working out instead of exerting ourselves even more? You see some examples? So PowerPoint number 1, identify what needs to switch up. Hint, the more honest that we can be, the better, because it just gets us to the point faster. Power tip number 2. So once you identify that area, do the opposite. Just do the opposite. So I gave the example with physical fitness and an example of what happened in our marriage when we were just constantly, even though, again, it usually starts off for a good reason. We do love each other and we do want this to work out. But if we're fighting over that, when we gave ourselves the opposite energy and said, okay, we actually will allow us to take a step back, think about our sides, what we feel for the other person, make some real choices from an authentic place and not reactionary. It was a life changer in our marriage. From that point forward, even the additional growth spurts that happened, we reacted and acted totally different from then on. It was a game changer. We can do this with work as well. Okay, how can we approach work differently? I'll talk about some practical tools here. Sometimes we approach our day with a power routine that's worked wonders, but then it just stops working. The order we do things, or the amount of time we spend, or a coworker, or a routine that's usually been part of the culture of the business now is just too draining, it wastes too much time or something. We can make an adjustment there, bring some opposite energy, and fuel up, get empowered, start feeling good, so we're not just trudging along and wondering why the zest for life has taken a dip. So listen, remember your good qualities. When I say opposite energy, please do not think this is licensed to now go tell somebody off. That is not. I wish I had a cool sound effect, like a laughing track, because that's not what we're talking about right here. What we're talking about right here is we're remembering our good qualities. We are remembering a loving stance for ourselves and others. And we're simply bringing the opposite action. Okay? So if you've been super aggressive, pull back a little bit. If you've been super laid back, activate a little bit of your aggressive, empowered energy. If you've been super sedentary, maybe move around a little. Remember that joy of dancing you once had, or take a walk around the block, or do something opposite to revive a little bit of a sector in your life. You know, these are ways that we can quickly experience a new energy, a new zest for life, a new goodness. Opposite energy is a fantastic way for us to coach ourselves through some things, especially if we're at just a plateau baseline. Listen, I'm Teemaree, and I help people transform aspects of their lives so that they can feel love, be power, have success. Now, the reason why I do this is because I've done this for many years for myself, for people that I love, and I just loved it so much that I switched careers to do this full time. I also do this because it deeply hurts to lose time, to lose money, and to lose out on opportunities. Our lives are precious. And so I really, really, really deeply am passionate about helping people get the best they can for their lives, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and, materialistically, because life is precious and we all have access to that. And I remember a time when I didn't feel that way. So now if I can help anybody, I'm there. If you want to connect with me at any time, you can visit me at teemaree.com. That's teemaree.com. And you can check out all the ways that I could be of service, but you definitely want to get on my email list, because that is the way where I can serve you immediately. And then you get connected to cool stuff that's really empowering. And then also invitations to things. So definitely check that out. Try some opposite energy and succeed. You are worth it. You deserve it. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I can't wait to talk to you again. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, friends. I want to tell you what you